first things first, I want to thank everybody for coming. This is going to be more so a talk about like what we do, what this program is and what we're able to offer, and also what it's not. To kind of just give you an overview of what this is and why it's important to us and how you can get involved, and also sort of the limitations of what we're able to offer at this time, just so everyone can, be on the same page about what to be expected and all that sort of thing. So first, I'd like to introduce myself. You can go to the next slide, please. My name is Miri Becker. Yeah, and I'm a supervisor for the Middlesex Conservation District. I'm the secretary. We also have Isabel Bailey, who's our treasurer here tonight, and Andrea Grossman, who's our district administrator. Couldn't do anything without her. Really appreciate that. I think I also saw Mary Lauv just joined, so thanks.
And Brian's here too.
Oh, hey, good, great. I didn't see that. So yeah, so we're the Middlesex Conservation District. We do a lot of like educational programs and workshops, and try and bring people more in contact and more aware of, the amazing nature that's around us and how people can get involved with conservation in our district. So the Lawn to Meadow program is one of the ways that we are trying to do that. You can go to the next slide, please. And so this is where I'll get into what the Lawn to Meadow program is and everything like that. Next slide. So basically the Lawn to Meadow program was something that we had the idea to do because we were given the opportunity to apply for the Massachusetts EEA, which I think stands for Environment and Energy Agency for Massachusetts. Energy Affairs, yeah.
Yeah.
And they put out the opportunity to apply for a Healthy Soils grant, which was right up our alley. We run completely off of grants and donations and the plant sale. So when this grant came along, it seemed right up our alley. We applied for it in 2023 and again in 2024. And we got it both times. That's why we are able to now offer the second round of our Lawn to Meadow program. It's not clear if it'll be offered again. Oh, did you have something to add, Andrea?
Yeah, we only got it the first round. We didn't get the second round, but we had enough money for 2 rounds.
Oh, okay. And it's unclear if it'll be offered again in the future. So we're looking at ways that we might be able to extend the program or expand the program, like the innovation grant that's offered by EEA. We already get that grant, so we might be able to work the Lawn to Meadow program into that grant potentially. But we're looking at those options because right now it's quite limited. The amount of plots that we can work on is not a ton, and we'd like to do more. So the goals of this program are to increase pollinator habitat, reduce fertilizer and chemical use, improve soil health, obviously, and then more so, in addition to that, like education. We really want to make people aware of the ways that they can have an impact, and we want, to have people see a beautiful piece of meadow in someone's lawn and say, hey, I could do that too. That's so nice, see the pollinators, butterflies and things. And that's really our goal with this project. So the next slide, we can talk about what the Middlesex Conservation District can be expected to provide. So it's basically the design and like materials and implementation is what we can be there for. So we'll come, once we review all of the applications and decide which is going to be the best option, which I'll get into more later, we'll come out to the site. We'll measure and mark out about 100 square feet of area. We'll aerate that area by poking holes in the ground, essentially, to improve soil structure and reduce compaction. We'll put down cardboard, which will inhibit growth of the grass underneath, and basically prepare that area for the meadow. We'll put compost on top to improve the soil, hold the cardboard down, and then we'll put the seed mix on. And we'll monitor that area for actually 3 years. This is a 3-year project. And so we'll come out, we'll monitor the area and support you with any questions that you might have as we're going through that. Next slide, please. Isabel or Andrea or even Brian, if you guys have things to add to any of these slides, please feel free to jump in.
Let me just make sure. Okay. Yeah.
So on the other side is what can be expected of homeowners who are participating in this program. The number one thing is that the area needs to be watered. And that needs to happen quite frequently, about twice a week for the first few weeks as it's starting to germinate, and then once a week depending on rainfall. Also, if we're putting down the seed in the winter, you don't need to water as much. It's a little bit dependent on weather and rain. And so as we start working with you, we'll give you more specific instructions on what we expect of for the watering schedule. But that's one thing that we do expect is that you will be able to water the area, because water is necessary for things to grow. So, and it also depends on sun exposure, soil type, and the slope of the area. One thing that we have been talking about is the amount of weeding that should go on. On one hand, we want mostly the things that we are growing from the seed mix to grow in the plot, but it's quite hard to identify what plants those are versus other plants that might have gotten into the area in the first year. So we're recommending now that in the first year we don't need to weed. After things get rooted more firmly and are easier to identify, then we can go in and say, okay, maybe we can remove X, Y, and Z, but we should leave A, B, and C. And that's one of the ways that we can help support you. But we did also put here some options for you to be able to identify plants. So you probably already have a lot of these. Obviously, you're here, and if you're here, you care about this stuff. So you probably already have these. But if you don't, these are great options. Two other things.
Also with the weeding is that if you're pulling roots out, then you're activating other seeds, weed seeds. So instead of pulling them, if you know it's definitely an invasive or such, we would suggest cutting it and not letting it, get big and strong, but leaving the roots for the first year.
Yeah, thank you for that point, Isabel. Can you go back once?
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. And then the other two things that I would just ask is please don't mow the area as things are starting to grow. And then no chemical treatments, no pesticides or anything like that. That's part of what will make this a success. Okay, go ahead. Thanks. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is a 3-year process. And when you're converting a piece of lawn into a native meadow, you can expect basically 3 phases. That's the sleep phase, the creep phase, and the leap phase. Basically, the first year will be a little slow. The whole ground might not be covered. Things will be a little bit small. The next year, things will start to grow a bit. And then the third year is when you'll really see, once those plants have had a chance to really root down, gather those nutrients, they'll really start blooming very proficiently, and it'll look more beautiful. So this is something that's going to take a little bit of patience, and it's a bit of a process. So just want to set the expectation that it's not going to look like the photo of at the beginning with all the flowers. It's not going to look like that right away. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another thing is that we're not able to plant on top of a septic tank or a leach field. Some of the native plants have very strong and deep root systems that might affect your septic tank, and we don't want to mess with it. So just keep that in mind. If that's the area you're looking for, then this might not be the best program for you. And then the other things that you might consider are, if you do have a plot that you're trying to convert to a meadow, you could consider putting some sort of fencing to protect from rabbits, mostly rabbits. Deer, you'd need a much higher fence. And that's not something that we can provide. We can't do fencing right now. It's not part of the grant that we wrote, but it could help with the success of your plot. So that's something to keep in mind. And then again, please don't spray for ticks or mosquitoes, because it can kill pollinators that we want to increase the habitat for. So yeah, you can go ahead. This slide has links to like additional resources or ways that you can like do this implementation of a meadow in your own yard, even if without our support in that way, with the implementation of it. For example, this Ecoplantia, the Homegrown National Park, is basically you can order a garden basically, and then you can put that in at your own house. And then there's a lot of other resources here, things that are specific to Massachusetts. We will make this presentation available, so you can go ahead and click on those links, or you know, just reference this again later on if you'd like. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide is just talking a little bit about native versus non-native. So why are we so interested in native plants? Because native plants can provide better pollinator habitat. Plants and insects, native plants and native insects over many, many thousands of years have made symbiotic relationships, and some of them are very specific. Like certain insects will only like lay their eggs on certain types of plants, for example. So these plant insect interactions are really important, and non-native plants don't necessarily provide that same amount of nutrition or habitat to pollinators or other animals who need those plants that are in our yards to thrive. So that's why native plants are more beneficial in that way. They also require less water, less pesticides, less fertilizers, and can improve soil health, and they can look great and be low maintenance. So we love that. And then, of course, beyond non-native, of course, there's a time and a place for non-native. If you love a certain type of peony, for example, it's not the end of the world to have it in your yard. It's just all about having balance and making sure that there are some natives. But then where things get really dicey is with invasive plants. As we all know, we're all dealing with them in our own yards, and it can really be a problem. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. One thing we wanted to touch on is the difference between a straight species and a cultivar. So a cultivar is basically a type of plant was, you know, taken and then bred for certain characteristics, like maybe having larger flowers or different colors. But those different characteristics can actually really affect how our pollinators are interacting with those plants. And so it can affect you know, their ability to survive. So it's if possible to get a straight species when you're looking at plants to buy, please consider doing so. Again, it's all about balance. Having some cultivars is obviously not the end of the world, but mostly straight species is generally recommended for pollinator health. And you can tell when something is a straight species because it'll list the Latin name only. A cultivar will have a name in quotes next to it. And I use the example of Hydrangea arborescens, which is the native straight species, but there are many cultivars like Annabelle, and you can see it has that name in quotes on the side. And if you don't know, just ask someone, they'll be happy to answer, most likely, hopefully. Here we just listed a couple of invasives that are so prevalent in our area. But this is only just a sampling. Obviously, there are way more, and we've linked the Mass Audubon website here, so you can take a look. Obviously, there's garlic mustard, Japanese knotweed, black swallowwort, oriental bittersweet, all things that I struggle with in my very own yard.
There's also, if you've been watching out in those those suburban landscapes, winged unanimous, also called burning bush, is an invasive bush, and it's turning bright red foliage. It looks really pretty. It's been planted in a lot of landscaping to make it look really nice, but it's not a native bush, and it will spread. Even if you don't see it, it spreads somewhere.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think we can probably pop on to the next slide. So, and here we'll talk, I just want to kind of explain what our process is. So in the first round of the Lawn to Meadow program, we had, what was it, like 40 applications, something like that. And we could not do 40, unfortunately. That was too many plots for us to handle in the first round, and is even way more plots than we are able to handle in this second round. We're calling this kind of a pilot project where we're kind of seeing how it works, what the viability is, and we hope to improve and expand upon it over time. So we're not just unfortunately not able to select every single applicant. So we really thank you in advance for your understanding of that. And the way that we will select the plots are based on these things. The geographic spread throughout Middlesex County, we really are trying to get representation all over the county. We are here for everyone, and so we want to make sure that that's represented. We also are looking for suitable site conditions. So basically that will mean that it gets some amount of sun, like at least part sun. It can't be fully shady just for the success of this project. And the soil type and all sorts of things like that. One thing that is not a make or break, but something that we would prefer is like the visibility of the site, to have the opportunity to educate your neighbors in your community. So if it's near the, like kind of near a road, then that could be awesome if people are walking by. And maybe we're also working on having signs that will like say, oh, this is a pollinator project, or you can buy signs online also that explain why your yard, in the first year, as I mentioned, it won't look super luscious. So having that little sign that says, hey, I'm doing this for the greater good, can really help people change the way they look at our lawn and understand like why it's so important to do this. So that's something that we're looking for. And the last thing is to have, like, if someone is enthusiastic and willing to work with us, as we said, there are those like homeowner expectations that will define the success of this project. So those are all things that we are looking for when we do the plot selection. Next slide. Here's some more resources from our own website that Andrea has put a lot of work into. There's a ton of resources on there that you can look into if you're interested in making a meadow in your own lawn, whether we are able to help you this time or not. There are things that everyone can do. So definitely check that out if you're interested. I think there's a lot to learn there.
Do the colors mean anything on the map?
Oh, no, that's just a stock photo that I found that shows the different towns in Middlesex. Yeah. Andrea,
Great.
this one? Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to let you know that we have a few events coming up soon for you guys to all attend. We have our fiscal year 2025 meeting, annual meeting with Russ Cohen. If you don't know him, he's a wild edibles enthusiast. He's written a book about native edibles. His presentation will be nibbling on the wild landscape of Middlesex County. He'll be talking about edible native species, edible invasive species, and plus some edible natives that you can put in your yard. He will also have some foraged native edible goodies for you to try. We will have dinner and snacks will be provided. We'll have a short business meeting before then, and then will come his meeting. We'll be electing supervisors, so it'll be great for you to attend, of course, both sessions so that we can get our board filled up. That will be on December 8th at the Acton Town Hall around at 6 p.m. Next, we're going to have Amy Meltzer from Massachusetts Pollinator Network coming to talk about gardening for biodiversity with native plants. She's going to talk about, how these different native plants are benefiting, different fauna, such as our pollinators, birds, and other wildlife. That's going to be, I think, January 23rd, 24th at the Concord Free Public Library in the Fowler branch. That'll be, I think, around 2:00 p.m. And then lastly, we just got another workshop with Evan Abramson from Landscape Interactions. He's a landscape designer. He does a lot of native plant landscape design. He's going to be talking about healthy soils through maximum biodiversity, replicable models for resilient design. And he's going to be doing this on February 20th at 6:30 p.m. That's going to be on Zoom. He will also be coming, we're scheduling this for spring or summer. He did a rain garden design in Lincoln, Massachusetts. So we'll be touring that next year. We also have a winter sow workshop that our own Isabel Bailey will be putting on this winter. That's in the works, as well as a few other workshops in the planning, such as presentation and workshop with oars. If you don't know about them, they're a water conservation organization. So we will have a newsletter coming out Wednesday with more event details. So if you're subscribed, look forward to that newsletter. That will also have a little article about leaving the leaves and fall flowers. So looking for, asters and goldenrod instead of mums, native pretty flower foliage, and keeping those leaves for our pollinators and other insects and wildlife that require our leaves on the ground. So if you want to go to any of these events, we will again be sharing this presentation, and this will be they are all listed on our website, these three right now, and on Middlesex Conservation District.org. That's our website, and just go to events. They'll be listed there.
I want to add just two things. One is that we, all of you, every constituent resident of Middlesex County is able to vote in who gets elected to the Board of Supervisors. So that's why it's really important to us to have people come and join at our annual meeting on December 7th, which we will add into this presentation, and also it's on our website. And then the last thing I want to say is that if you or someone that you know is potentially interested in becoming a supervisor, please reach out. We would love to have you. We have a few more spots available on the Board of Supervisors, and we could really use the support. If you don't know if you can really commit to it, you can start coming to our meetings and see if it's something that you are interested in getting involved with. So, yeah. That's all that I had on the Lawn to Meadow program. Happy to answer as many questions as you might have. I think I was speaking really fast because it's only 6:30. So any questions you have, let me have them.
One question that I have, if in the unfortunate situation you weren't chosen, are you saying that isn't showing enthusiasm, is it? Anyway, if you're not chosen, you're saying that you probably could be made aware of somebody nearby who was doing this, so you might be able to copy everything that was being done from, where do you get the cardboard, where do you get the seeds, what kind of compost do you use, and all those things? Or are you saying there's a better way?
So if you see someone in your neighborhood, absolutely reach out to them, try and make a connection. But if you are really serious about doing this and you'd like some more information, we'd be happy to send an email with more detailed information or have a phone call with more information. It's just that we can't do the full implementation for everyone who's applied. But regarding disseminating information about where we are sourcing our materials and the processes that we're using, we'd be happy to share that with you. We're not trying to make that hard to access.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, please reach out. We'll put our email on here as well.
We have Mike and Christine have and Raja have their hands raised. So we also have a question from the chat here. Oh, actually two questions. So first is from Carol. She says, are you not allowed to put meadow on a leach field septic tank, or should we not create a meadow on top of a leach field septic tank ourselves if we are insured to remove have woody things growing? Because that's exactly what we are doing now.
I would just do some research on the individual plants that are in your seed mix or whatever mix you're using, because some of even the perennials can have very deep roots that could potentially affect something in your leach field or septic tank. But on our end, we just don't have the capacity to, take on that liability at this point. I would just do some research on your own about like exactly what plants to make sure that they're going to be safe for your septic tank. Obviously nothing woody, as you already know, but I don't think it's like illegal. It's just potentially could cost you money if it does affect your leach field. The roots could grow into the holes of the pipes in the leach field and block them up, and obviously that would be an issue. So
if I could add, I know I've seen some seed mixes out there. They
Mm.
might be from other states that they'll have the thing like, let's say, Prairie Moon Nursery, that's all the way in like Minnesota or Michigan. Obviously not within our ecoregion, but if they have a list of the species there and you go, let's say on Native Plant Trust, go botany, it should show if the, like, you look at the individual species components of that seed mix, look on Go Botany or another site that shows if it's native to our area, look at those individual species, see what are native, and maybe try to get those individual seeds from that mix, but from like closer to us. And then I think Go Botany and some other sources might have root depth for those species, so you could see which ones would be suitable. Obviously, if it says it's a septic field mix, most of them should be not have too much depth in their root system, but that's a way to check too, if you want to do on your own leach field on your own time. Mike?
Yeah, and
Oh, Isabel? Yes.
I might add that the Southborough group from Breakback Hill with Freddie Gillespie, they're gathering a lot of seeds and cleaning seeds. They're starting next week cleaning seeds. And so if you volunteer with them to help gather or clean seeds, I'm sure she would help you get free seeds to make your own mix.
Mike, you have a question?
Yes. Well, for one, I happen to be one of the lucky recipients of a plot, and it's really been excellent. I want to thank you all. You've been great to work with, and I really have hopes for this program. I was curious as to whether, in fact, we have to do anything to winter the seed plot.
I have thoughts. I don't know if Brian, if you have something specific you would like to add for this. But I'll just say, first of all, mostly no. One of the main benefits of these native plants is that they're used to our New England winters. And we will either this winter or in the spring be coming out and either reseeding, or we're hoping to be able to plant some plugs maybe in the spring. So that'll be some small plants that are already growing and kind of buffer out the plot a bit for all of the first rounders. But basically, no, they should be all set. But maybe Brian has something else potentially.
I agree with you, Miri. No, all good.
Okay, excellent. And Mike, if you do have additional questions, you can always email us. Again, we'll put our email. Maybe we'll put it in the chat here so that everyone has it.
Christine, you have a question?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I looked at your website and I think I saw examples of completed projects or projects underway. Are there pictures of those projects on your website?
Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, we have on the Lawn to Meadow program, we have a gallery. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog, she's needs attention. So there are pictures of what they've been going through, what they look like. Obviously we don't have like it, look like a fully fledged meadow since it's the first year. But those are our photos so far, of what we have, right now. And that's at the Lawn to Meadow program page that I had, in an earlier slide here. Here. Do you have another question?
Yes. While you mentioned the sleep, creep, and leap, are you involved for more than just 1 year? Like Miri just mentioned that they may go back, the project might go back and put in some plugs at sites. So are you involved for 1, 2, 3 years in a site?
That's our goal. Yeah, we really want to be there to support all of the homeowners who are implementing native meadow. We want to be there throughout the at least the first 3 years to make sure
Okay.
things get off the ground. That's our goal. I can't guarantee that we will be able to provide a ton of like physical resources after the first or second year, but we'll definitely help with the startup, and then any support that we can offer, we will try and do as much as we can.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to monopolize, but the process, could you just explain the process where you submit an application and then if you're in sort of, a short list, someone comes to your property and looks it over? Is that like?
Yeah, that's what we did the
Yes.
first time. And as I said, it's sort of a pilot program still. So we're figuring out the best methods to make sure that it's a success. So, but yes, basically we will take all of the applications. There's the survey that was sent out in our newsletter, which maybe Andrea, maybe we can link that in the chat here. And that is due by November 7th, I believe. And that is the application here. We will review all of the submissions that come in, and the people who we think are going to be good options, we will contact them and try and come take a look at the property to see if it will, and talk with the person to make sure our goals are aligned and make sure the site seems like it will be suitable for the program. And then we'll make our final decisions about who we would like to move forward with, based on how much capacity we have to do so. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, who had their hand up?
Raja has his hand up. We also have some other questions from the chat as well.
Roger, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So for the watering, I already have sprinklers for my lawn. So would that work for the meadow as well?
Yeah, it should. I mean, honestly, that might be more water than the once the meadow gets established, it won't need as much water as your lawn. That's one of the benefits of it. But when they're just starting to germinate and in the early spring, if it hasn't rained much or in the heat of the summer, yeah, it should be fine with the sprinklers. But I would just be aware, maybe go out and check the soil in that area separately, just to see if it is getting overwatered. That's not ideal, but should be good
Good.
for the most part.
Thank you.
Also, if you have like a hose hookup that would direct, like, so that we can manually water the cardboard and the soil, that'd be great. So if you have that as well as your sprinkler system,
Right.
yeah.
For the implementation, we water down the cardboard as it helps with its decomposition process.
All right. So we have another question here from Cindy. She said, approximately how many different natives are in the seed mix? I assume they are all straight species.
Yeah, they are straight species.
It's a mix of grasses and a full range of perennials that will bloom for the 4 seasons: spring, early summers, late summer, and fall. And the germination can be haphazard because it depends on how much the rodents eat, and also just the viability of the seeds. So I think the big thing is it is a wide range. A meadow actually is much more attractive if it has a mix of grass and flowering plants. And grasses are the host plant and the protection for a lot of pollinators, so that while it isn't as gorgeous, it does provide texture, movement in the branches, and hosting other insects.
I think the one that we used was a New England conservation/wildlife mix. But
that was our new, yeah.
That's one we used last time, and it had about 16 different species, all straight species, but we're using a different mix this time, I believe so.
Yeah, we have some left of the conservation mix, but that seed mix was from the spring of 2024, so we're not sure of how viable it is now, so that's why we're also using another seed mix.
Yeah.
this time.
All right, looks like there's another question.
Yeah.
So about the cardboard, does one have to use cardboard? I'd be uncomfortable with the glues in it going into the soil. Yeah, it's a great question.
Oh, Miri, you unmuted.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking at the chat, and every time I come out of the chat, it mutes me. Basically, so we went through a lot of different ideas of what the best way to do this project would be. You know, we discussed maybe we'll till the area, maybe we will use black plastic, maybe we will use cardboard. And we found that cardboard is the most effective and also the most environmental. You can often find cardboard that has a minimum amount of dyes or glues or tape on it. But I agree, it's definitely a consideration and one that we try to consider when we're looking at it. The reason why we chose that method is because it is possible to just like aerate and overseed on your existing lawn and just kind of hope for the best, but without like retarding the growth of the lawn species, they're very likely to outcompete the native species in that context. So without like reducing that competition from the lawn species, it will be maybe less successful or might take more time to convert into a native meadow. So that's why we chose it for this program. But of course, there's many other methods that you might look into. I hope that answers your question.
So
The cardboard actually provides, when it's broken down, more humus in the soil, almost like a peat moss. And it also will temper the soil temperature when the heat, it creates that barrier where it doesn't soak in, and it holds the moisture. Plus the earthworms love the dark, moist soil, and will enhance the soil immensely.
Also, I saw a really good idea in the chat from Barbara Dowd, who suggested that at our annual plant sale or biannual plant sale that we do a mix of native plugs that could be like a starter for a meadow or a small area or something like that. So that's a really great idea, and we'll definitely talk about that.
yeah, we do have it in the grant for plugs, to buy plugs
for this program. But yeah, we could have it like a little kit at our sale.
Oh,
that
yeah,
would be a really great idea.
yeah, we've been in talks about that.
Are there any other questions?
Excellent job, Miri. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very comprehensive.
Thanks everyone for being here. And if you do have questions, we did put the email for Andrea, the admin email, in the chat. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out and we'll get those questions answered as best as we can. Thank you all for coming, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
You too. Bye.
Night.